Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Nick, this is channel njenkin, and it's time for a 2-week roundup where we look at all the games we've had a look at over the last 2 weeks and try and get them into some kind of top 6. Now, you might already suspect what my top 6 is going to be. You might have your own personal top 6. They may match, they may not, but that's all a part of the fun. So, what has made it this time round? Well, there's a few games that didn't quite make it this time. Been a few good games, but with some flaws in it. There was Death Mask on the Commodore Amiga, which is a first-person shooter, which that system struggles with a little bit. It didn't quite make it. Monster Muncher, which is a Pac-Man clone, which is pretty cool, but that didn't make it either. And Way of the Tiger, it's a fighting game on the ZX Spectrum, but there is another fighting game that did make the top 6, and that maybe kept that out. Notable mentions, which we'll put up a bit of footage of, is Chucky Egg on the Commodore 64, published by A&F Software in 1984. And I grew up with this game on the ZX Spectrum, so it's always hard to compare when you've got your nostalgia goggles on one system against another. The Spectrum version works a bit better for my mind. What's good about this one is there's different speed settings as you direct Henhouse Harry around single screen mazes to collect all the eggs. If you get around all the levels, it restarts again, but you've got a big bird after you that flies through the ladder and so forth. So it wasn't a bad game, it's just that, you know, I can remember a better version in my opinion. And there was another game which didn't quite make it either, which was Miner 2049er on the good old Atari 2600 by Tiger Vision in 1983. It said that Matt Smith was inspired by this game when making the classic Manic Miner originally for the ZX Spectrum, so you know it does have its place in retro history. It's a little bit slow. I think there's about 3 stages on this one, and yeah, it's alright, but I think there's more exciting games out there. So that was Miner 2049er, well worth mentioning, although it didn't come in the top 6. Now, I'll quickly mention the pinball games, so I keep them outside of the top 6, just to make it easier for myself. But pinball games we looked at this time were on the Sega Mega Drive and the Commodore Amiga. There was Sonic Spinball, a game that we've already covered on the Game Boy Advance, but this time we looked at it on the Mega Drive and the Sega Genesis. Takes a bit of grinding to complete this game. Instead of a ball, you're controlling old Sonic the Hedgehog. He must go around multiple tables that are all linked together, removing blockages and toxic waste and collecting emeralds. And once you've collected all the emeralds, which I've never done, you then fight an end of level boss up the top of the screen. Takes a while to do. It is good fun, but will take you a while to complete the game. Not a bad pinball game there on the Sega Mega Drive. And the other one was on the Commodore Amiga, probably aimed at kids really, so I didn't get too much fun out of it. I thought it was a little bit bland. Is Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Pinball, to give it its full title. Gives you 4 tables. Not overly exciting to a great deal. As I say, kids really into the show would have liked it, I guess, because it's got the music there. There's no drains, there's just targets to hit, and it's quite generic and different ramps. So, okay, but I think Sonic Spinball is slightly better. Well, quite a lot better, to be honest with you. But it's good to see these tables nonetheless. So, let's have a look at the top 6. Now, I did mention Way of the Tiger before on the ZX Spectrum, not making it, and there was a better fighter in. Well, it just crept in. On 6th place on the ZX Spectrum is Psy Combat by Mirasoft in 1986. It's a karate game where you fight using sticks. Yes, you start off with as a humble white belt, must progress through 8 different coloured belts by beating different opponents. If you do that, then you go into the Dans and you must get up to 8th Dan. Quite a lot of different moves here. It moves pretty smooth for the era. It will reward you learning those moves rather than just doing button mashing, which I was doing during the game, which got me so far, but then you need the skills knowing when to block, when to back somersault out of the way, when to attack, and when to lure your opponent in. What's clever about this game is it just does give you a different screen, a different background, so to speak, to fight against, although the gameplay is roughly the same as you go through each belt, which as a kid, those small things inspire you to keep going, and that's where addictiveness comes, because you just want to see the next screen. Not a bad 8-bit game there, a good fighter. There's slightly better ones out there, but this one was worthy of getting into 6th place. And in 5th place, another really retro game, it's Tennis on the Atari 2600, published by Activision in 1981. Now you control a stickman on an 8-bit court. Well, they're all 8-bit, aren't they? Atari 2600. 1981. And what's impressive about this one, it's first to 6 games, so 1 set, but it moves really, really quick. Like beforehand, you had just Pong and maybe another couple of other ones, but this moves really, really quick. You don't have to serve, there's no court lines as such, you don't have to serve in play, the ball can't go out of play, you can't knock it into the net, but in 2-player mode with a human player there, it really gets manic. You can have some really long rallies, there's 2 modes of difficulty, and once you get used to the timing on it, you could be playing this for quite some time. In 1981, you have to remember what else was available, and I would have been blown away by this game, and I would have been playing it for quite some time. You just get 1 court, but you know, 81 again, it's a green court, so it's probably playing at Wimbledon. A pink stick man versus a blue stick man, forehands and backhands. You can't really do many smashes, but you can run to the net, do volleys and try and win the point. So that's tennis. And in 4th place on the Commodore 64, so 3 different systems in the 4th, 5th and 6th, ZX Spectrum, no not ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, getting it wrong already, Darts 180 by Mastertronic in 1986. Now already reviewed this on the ZX Spectrum and this plays very, very similar indeed. It's like pub darts rather than professional darts. Is there a difference? Well, I don't know. It's in a pub atmosphere, you can take part in a championship against some variety of opponents. I place beer belly character, but there's lots of weirdos with different styles of play, and they will get better as you go through the championship no matter who you play. A moving hand on the dartboard which you haven't got full control over, but you press fire button when you want to throw the dart. You have to finish on a double like the normal darts games. Does it represent darts well? Yes, fantastically well. I prefer the Spectrum game again, but you know, that's nostalgia rather than anything else, and it is a really worthy game. So in 6th place we had Psy Combat by Mirasoft in 1986 on the ZX Spectrum. In 5th place on the Atari 2600 is Tennis by Activision in 1981, and in 4th place I put Darts 180 on the Commodore 64 by Mastertronic in 1986. So 3 games all in the 80s, and the top 3 are all in the 90s. That's a bit weird, isn't it? But there you go, that's the way it worked out. And in 3rd place, I put Road Rash, that's Road Rash 1 by Electronic Arts in 1991. A groundbreaking game at the time. You are, if you're unaware of this game, you're racing along 5 different circuits on a motorbike, but you can actually punch your opponents off their bikes. In later levels you get weapons to whack them with chains and clubs, and you must come in the top 3 each time to of the 5 tracks, and then you go up a level. With each level the opponents get gradually more vicious. It starts off quite tame compared to later versions of Road Rash, but they corrected that, as I say, in those later games. But it was a really good start. Frame rate isn't brilliant, but it works okay with the playability, and I really enjoyed playing this game on the Sega Mega Drive there. Really, really good game, so track that one down. In 2nd place, I put Pushover on the Commodore Amiga, published by Ocean in 1992. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because it combines, wait for it, it combines dominoes with crisps with ants. Well, you don't really see crisps too much in there, but the whole game was sponsored by Walkers, who own Quaver's Crisps, and a character called Colin. But all it boils down to is a level-based, stage-based, where you control an ant, which push over a load of dominoes so they all fall over in one go. Now it starts off quite straightforward, but later on you get dominoes with special powers, i.e. ones that will keep rolling, ones that will go upwards, ones that won't move at all, and you must work out where to put all the dominoes before you push the final domino and they all fall down. And at the end, you're against a timer, you must move your ant through an exit door. If you don't, then you've failed the task. Really, really clever, this game, really impressive. I didn't own this one back in the day, but Ocean did a good job. There's different themed worlds where you get 11 stages in each one, starting from industrial and going to Aztec and ending up with a Japanese sort of like temple sort of theme. And once you've completed all themed world, there's a really weird animation to tie it into the sponsorship with Walker's Crisps, where you see the ant throwing the crisps or getting the crisps to Colin the dog. Yes, strange world. But Pushover, do check that one out. And in 1st place this time round, I I couldn't put anything else beyond this one, although Pushover did come mightily close. It's a sequel to Road Rash. It's Road Rash 2 by Electronic Arts in 1993. So just 2 years after the original Road Rash. They've built on the existing game engine. A lot of the sprites are exactly the same. We'll be coming to the third one later on today, in fact, at time of recording. And the frame rate is ever so slightly better, there's more weapons, and your opponents start off a little bit more vicious first of all, so you don't have to do too much grinding before you actually get into the guts of the game. Rather than just having one bike, you compete for money, and then you can upgrade your bike so it will get gradually bigger, and you get a more enjoyable experience as you go forward. So Road Rash 2 is fantastic. The original Road Rash was good, but Road Rash 2 on the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis is absolutely awesome. So just a quick recap then. In third place we put Road Rash by Electronic Arts in 1991. That's the original on the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. Second place, splitting the two Road Rashes apart, is Pushover on the Commodore Amiga by Ocean in 1992. And in first place, Road Rash 2 by Electronic Arts in 1993, building on the existing engine, slightly better than the first game. So I hope you enjoyed watching all the videos this time. If there's any there that you like the look of and you missed, have a look at those, show them some love, maybe a like or a comment, or just watching them is good enough. Until next time, plenty more videos to come, I'm pleased to say. Till next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.